Hello everybody and welcome back to CFO Conversations. Today I have the pleasure of welcoming back Julia. Thank you for coming.
Hi Paula.
Today we're going to talk about something that perhaps we always potentially shy away from, and that is the elephant in the room. And what do I mean by this? This might be a term that perhaps you haven't heard of before, but it's about tackling the one thing that's in the room that's taking up 80% of the room. Nobody can see it and no one's talking about it. So as the CFO, as the charge, the 2IC, if you like, to the organisation, is it our responsibility to call out the elephant in the room? What do you think, Julia?
Absolutely. Look, I think it's the responsibility of anyone in the organisation who sees themselves as a leader to call out the elephant in the room. My experience has been a lot of people shy away from it, and they do that because it's uncomfortable. It's difficult. No one wants to talk about it. There's a word in a Papua New Guinean language called makita, which translates roughly to the thing that we all know but no one talks about. Right. And we see this happening in organisations, in boardrooms and leadership team meetings all around the world. So the question is, how do you actually get the elephant in the room onto the agenda? And it takes a brave leader to do that.
Yeah, I guess for me, I have moved around a number of roles in a sort of transformation aspect, and so it's really easy for me to go into a new business and see what's working and what's not working and to call it out. I say to people, you've got a honeymoon period of potentially 3 to 6 months. You need to get all the elephants out on the table. Otherwise, in 12 months' time, the board don't want to hear, oh, that was there when I started, but I didn't tell you about it. So in that respect, it's easier potentially than somebody, let's take an example where someone stepped up from a financial controller role into the acting CFO and they want to impress. How do they work out what the elephants are? Or how do they have the courage to even put their hand up and say, why is no one talking about this situation?
Look, in a lot of situations I've seen, everyone knows what the issue is. It's just no one wants to go and tackle it. So we generally find that going and actually having one-on-one conversations with individuals in the leadership team to actually get them to articulate what it is, and really creating that case for change. So, a lot of organisations, if I take the current economic situation where there's strong headwinds, some organisations are not necessarily preparing themselves for much of a downturn, that could be seen as a clear, elephant in the room for some organisations that are already sailing close to the wind financially. So if that leadership team continues to ignore it, there's going to be a burning platform or a crisis hit that organisation. The way I would see it is, what have you got to lose by actually bringing that issue to the table? It might require some hard work, it might require some difficult conversations, but there does seem to be a real groundswell around the need for organisations to have more brave leaders stepping up to call out some of the issues that they're seeing, rather than just sweeping it under the carpet.
And I actually think it's really will stand you in good stead to call it out. I think any board or any stakeholder worth their salt wants you to tell them the ugly truth rather than you trying to hide it.
Yeah, look, and in the worst case scenario, it's a dereliction of duty, and we've all got professional standards to uphold. And in the best case scenario, you're actually demonstrating your leadership capability. It's when you're transitioning into a new role, it's almost a little bit easier because there's an expectation that people are going to come in and want to make their mark, and they can do that by getting the team together, getting all of the issues out on the table to help them set priorities. I think when you're in an existing role, it's really incumbent upon you as part of your, roles and responsibilities. Ethics. Yeah, absolutely, that you've got to be dealing with these issues. And if you're not, quite frankly, you start to wonder whether the individual is fulfilling their duties.
Yeah, and so I've had a few pretty hairy examples, and I think for me, I've tried to find somebody that I can trust, either in my peer group or one above. So I might speak to a non-exec director about the concerns that I've got, or I might speak to perhaps the COO if there's a COO in the organisation. But choose your partners carefully, because it's about trying to find people that will support you if you're worried about being the sole voice in the organisation.
I think until you've really dealt with that elephant in the room and dealt with that issue that everyone knows about and no one's talking about, it's going to be really hard for the organisation to make progress and move forward. So we really see it as a real roadblock to success within organisations, which is why it needs tackling.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, hopefully that's given you some courage and some tips in how to tackle those elephants perhaps in your room. Thanks, Julia.
Thanks.